Hello YouTube modelers, welcome back to my channel. I want to thank all my viewers and subscribers for tuning in. So this is the progress on my Tamiya Panzerkampfwagen for Ausführung H. So I want to motorize this one, so I'm done with the rear panel right over here, right? So this is the rear panel. I actually lost this round cap. It flew somewhere, so I just found something similar and put it on there, so I think it looks good. Now we're up to the hull, the lower hull. Now before I put all these attachments, I'll probably put on some, but not the wheels because I have to spray paint it Panzer yellow. But I think at this point I'm going to piece together the engine and then start to figure out where everything is going to go and start popping holes in this transmission cover for the drive sprocket, and we'll take it from there. Because I do have to paint it, but also I want to start fitting in the motor. So let me put this motor together and then I'll be right back. Alright, so I finally glued, I guess not the transmission cover, but the final gear cover. Luckily this is an earlier version, so it did come motorized. Well, some of them came motorized, so I chose these that had the drop down hole for the axle as opposed to these because they came with both. These have the spindle in it already, but I need the metal axle to go right through, so I will not be using these, and luckily they came with these. So I just have to fit it because the axle will go down like that, right? The motor is complete. I put it on medium speed because these Universal, the slow is extremely slow. So now the next step is just to fit it, make sure that this axle will be the correct height. So that's next on the agenda. Alright, so in mocking this engine up in the hull, it looks like I'm going to have a clearance issue. So how the engine protrudes on the top. So it looks like I'm going to switch to a mini motor. So I'm going a little bit more in depth because for those of you who want to motorize your tanks, I'm just going to go a lot slower this time and explain a little bit more just in case you want to do it yourself. So I'm just going to put this back in the box and then I'm going to use a smaller one because notice how it's tapered, so maybe it'll fit a little better. Alright, so I use my scraper and I scrape the inside of the six-sided of the drive sprocket, and I was able to fit the 4-40 machine screw nuts right inside, so now it fits. Next I'm going to drill a hole, or basically bore out this hole so that it'll fit over this. Alright, so we are done with the drive sprockets. We know from scraping it, it fits in there. Now, the inside diameter of the hole here, it doesn't fit. It's too small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a drill. And I'm going to bore the inside like that and widen the hole so that it can slip over this axle. I suggest you fit it first before you cut it because right now it's slightly tapered on the end to help it slide onto the axle. If you cut it and then do it like I've done in the past, the ends are going to end up with some burrs which will make it hard for you to slip this over. Now I want the hole to be just barely big enough so that it can slide into axle because you want the fit to be snug. You don't want it to slide round and round and spin freely. You can always fix that with crazy glue, but I'd rather have it mechanically tight rather than just chemically tight because the bond might break with crazy glue. So I'll be back. Alright, so I was successful in prepping this nut. It's slides onto the axle pretty well. Doesn't slip too much, right? You don't want it to revolve round and round, so it catches slightly, so it's good. I think I just went a touch too much, but it's fine. Sometimes I put it on so tight that it can barely slide up and down, but that's good. So now I'll just work on the other side. Alright, so I laid down a coat of dark yellow, which I will use as the base color, or Panzer yellow, whatever you want to call it. Everything is airbrushed. Interior is painted flat white, but you can't see that now because I masked everything so I wouldn't get overspray into the interior, but you'll see it later. Same with the road wheels, idle wheels, drive sprocket, everything is coated with dark yellow. And then from here it will probably be the camo, probably use hull red, right, a reddish brown. And I have flat green, but I'm thinking maybe I'll just go with 2 colors rather than 3 colors for the camo. Just keep things simple. But like jerry cans, spare wheels, all have been coated with that dark yellow. So that's where we are now. Alright, so I'm done camoing the Panzer IV. It's a combination of hull red, or what looks to me like brownish red, and flat green. They asked for dark green, but I only had medium flat green, so it'll have to do. So this is where we are now. I probably should put a clear coat over it, but I'm just going to skip that step and then just put the flat clear when I'm all done. Alright viewers, so here we are at the final reveal of my buddy build with Kurt from KH Model Works. First of all, I want to thank him for being patient, because I actually have not been that active on YouTube for the past month or 2 months because of work and some other issues I was ironing out. But I'm finally done, so thanks Kurt for being patient. And to all my viewers, I haven't been that active. I'll try to catch up with everyone's video. Haven't been commenting, but I'll try to catch up. So another great buddy build with Kurt. So here's the final reveal. I did use this mini motor gearbox instead of the universal one, and I'll show you why, because of size constraints. So here is the model. The model went fairly well, typical Tamiya kit. This is an older release, an older mold, but I need sometimes the older ones because since I like to motorize them, they need to have polycaps and need to be, you know, movable suspension or gears, drivetrain I mean. So only one issue I had with this kit was the polycaps that get sandwiched between the front and the back road wheels when you glue them. They actually did not move freely, so after gluing all 16 wheels, 8 per side, I actually had to crack them back open, and then I had to shave a thin piece of the polycap and insert that back in, and then sandwich glue the front and back road wheels back, and then now they move freely. After the camo paint job, I applied the decals when I was done. Then I sprayed the Tamiya flat clear, and then afterwards I used the cheap Home Depot Kids Workshop water-based brown paint, and then I just washed it over the entire model. That's why the decals looks like it's covered in dust and dirt. I don't want shiny decals on a tank unless it's fresh from the factory. I end up going for the SS Panzer division. There are a lot of configurations of this tank, like the accessories. You can mount some of the accessories wherever you want. The jerry cans for gasoline, Sometimes they use the jerry cans for water, and then they put a white cross on it so they know that it's water and not gasoline. The rear, you can use, I added this can or carrying pot or whatever it is. They also provide like German hard helmets, extra cable if you want to string it from the front to the back, and obviously I omitted the side skirt and the turret skirt. In building this kit, fairly simple, a little box design from the 30s. Obviously they needed the spaced armor or side skirts to remain competitive against tanks that were coming out in the later part of the war with sloped armor, but still a good build nonetheless. Aside from the poly caps, not too bad with the assembly. So here is the figure, all in black. Did some tone variants with gloss black boots and gloss black gloves, but other than that, pretty typical. Use Panzer gray for the Iron Cross, the German Eagle, and his medals on his uniform. The machine gun interior is white. You can, of course, glue all these hatches in the closed battle position, but anytime a manufacturer gives me the option, I like to leave things open so you can look inside, so you can see the gun breech. So, typical Tamiya kit where you screw the turret sideways and you insert it into the holes. I did not glue the upper hull because in case I need to change the battery or do maintenance. So it's good to spread the weight out. In some instances I do have to put all the weight on the front or possibly the back, but in this case it's always good to spread out the weight so it will climb easier. So I'm going to assemble it back together and I'll be back with the obstacle course. So here is my infamous spiral bound obstacle course. Let me turn this on. As you can see, the track jumps slightly because the sprocket teeth don't always mesh in the hole, but also the thickness varies because that's where the tracks join. So here it is. Travels pretty well. And on the return. So, good motorization. So, stay tuned for the stills at the end, but let me just give you a 360 of this tank. The interior, of course, I sprayed in flat white. And of course, you can always change the accessories and the location of them yourself. Machine gun does move around. Gun does elevate and depress. And of course, from the turret side hatch, you can see the commander has great gymnastics because he's able to support himself without a floor pan or something to step on. Sometimes the breech is lifting him up. And that's pretty much it. So stay tuned. I'll have stills at the end. And thank you, Kurt, for this buddy build. I enjoyed it pretty much. Sometimes if I didn't have a buddy build, models would not have been completed. And thanks again for being patient. Thanks for watching.